In this video, we're going to continue adding calculated columns to our logger profile. This is for the incline glider lab. The glider moved up and down a frictionless track, and yesterday we showed you how to take our raw data in frames and centimeters and turn it into, we made a calculated column for the time in seconds and a calculated column for the time squared. Today we're going to make 5 more columns: displacement, time interval, velocity, middle time, and middle position. Like all of our calculated columns, we start by going to the data menu, clicking on new calculated column. Our first column is going to be displacement. Short name is delta x. You can choose delta by going to the Greek uppercase letters. It's a little triangle, x, and the units will be centimeters. And here for the expression, there's a function called delta that will do exactly what we need, which is to basically we're going to take one of these positions and subtract it from the next one to get our delta. So you'll notice that when I pick that function delta, it writes delta in here with a parentheses, and inside that set of parentheses you need to put the name of the column that you want to perform the function on. So I'll come here to my position column and choose it, and it shows up like that. And again, you can type delta parentheses quote position quote parentheses and it'll work perfectly. It's just that if you make any kind of mistake, the computer won't recognize what you're doing. So in the options, I can make this an open circle and change the color to black, just so it shows up better on the screen. And I should hit done. And stretch this out a little bit. Oh, and I forgot. None of my data points have any decimal values to it, so I'm just going to put 0 for the number of decimal places. There we go. And there we have our displacement column. Now we make another similar column for time interval. New calculated column, time interval, delta t. The units will be seconds. Choose the function delta. And the variable that we want is time with a big T, because you can see up here, the time with the big T is the one that's in seconds. So there we have it, delta time. Come back to the options, see if we can do this without having to go back to it. Empty circle there, change that to black, and if I look at my times, they're all in tenths, so my deltas will all be in tenths as well, so I'll put 1 decimal place there. Click done, and there you go. So you can see that my delta time is the same all the time. Now I will make my velocity column. The velocity column is calculated from these two columns, the delta x and the delta t, the displacement and the time interval. So I'll come up here, new calculated column, velocity, symbol is v, the units would be centimeters per second. Now I don't need a function anymore. All I need to do is do a little bit of math with my column. So I'm going to take the displacement column divided by the time interval. Over here, we're going to see empty circles. I'll change the color to black. Display precision looks like there's going to be none. And there are my velocities. Let me stretch that a little bit. So you can kind of play with the width of these columns. You can see, by the way, it changes to, if it doesn't fit your long name in there, it puts the short name in the column. And now 2 more columns. Middle time is kind of one of the trickier ones. So new calculated column, middle time, t-mid. You can't subscript the mid, unfortunately, so it just looks like t-mid. Seconds. And now what I need to do is, take a look at this. I'm going to take, remember that this velocity is not the velocity at time 0.2 seconds, and it's not the velocity at time 0. It's the velocity right in the middle of 0 and 0.2, which is 0.1. So in order to calculate that 0.1, what I end up doing is I take this 0.2 seconds, that's the time, and I subtract from it half of the difference here, and the difference is delta time. So fortunately I have this column here with time, this column here with delta time. If I take away half of this delta time column, I get to the middle time. So let's see if we can make that work. If I say I'm going to take the time column and I'm going to subtract time interval over 2. Let's check and make sure that that works before I change the color. So, so if my time is from 0 to 0.2, my middle time is 0.1. If my time is from 0.2 to 0.4, my middle time is 0.3, and it looks like it's working right. 0.4 to 0.6, my middle time is 0.5. So now let me go ahead and make the colors right. Sorry. And it looks like I need 1 decimal place. And there's my middle time. And now I need one more column that is for middle position. The weirdness of this lab that we're doing, we're actually making a velocity versus position graph. And just like this velocity is not the velocity at this time, and it's not the velocity at this time, it's the velocity right in the middle. It's not the velocity at this position, and it's not the velocity at this position. If you think about it a little bit, it's not the velocity in the middle of those two positions either. But we're just going to say that it is. So the column that we're doing is going to be wrong just a little bit, but it's going to be an acceptable. It's going to give us an acceptable result. So we're going to make this middle position column, and we're going to make it in such a way that it works just like T-mid, but keep in mind that it's not really where the velocity will not be this right in the middle of 2 and 23. It won't be the middle position. You won't be at the middle position at the middle time. So here's a new calculated column, middle position. I'm just going to call it xmid in centimeters. And we calculate it the same way. I'm going to take the position, and I'm going to subtract the displacement over 2. And again, make it black, empty circles. All of my positions are in whole numbers. There we go. And those are the columns you should have now. Make sure you hit save. Now we're ready to graph. So in the next video, I'll show you how to make some graphs.